Okay, so I'm just going to pretend that it's normal that I'm sitting here in a jungle in my backyard and that sometimes parts of me might disappear. Anyway, the joys of using a green screen when you really don't know what you're doing. I should do a class on that or something. But anyway, here I am. I'm in the garden, and welcome to my world. In case you haven't guessed, my name is Lori, and if you've been here before, I am so grateful that you have come back to see us again. Today, I'm actually getting in on a worldwide collaboration that has been started by Liz Zorab over there at Byther Farms. Byther Farms. I will leave her link down below so that you can easily find her. And I'll leave a link to this video to her video with this collaboration, and it's called 10 vegetables to grow if I could only grow 10 vegetables. So I know that some people, I've watched lots of these videos that are in this list. There's a bunch of them. So and a lot of people have actually even gone as far as limiting it to the variety of something that they would grow. And I'm not going to even attempt to do that. This is only my third year of gardening, and I have not yet tried all the varieties. So I'm always trying a new variety. And as you'll see on my list, I'm always trying to grow something new because part of what I love about gardening is the learning aspect of it. Because as far as I can see so far, 3 years in, there's always something more to learn. So let's get started, shall we? Did I say thank you for being here? And if it's your first time, you should subscribe. Or if it's your 50th time and you're not subscribed yet, you should hit that button. Apparently, it does make a difference. And I appreciate it. I always love watching those numbers go up. And I think of each one of you as a personal friend. So I appreciate you every time you're here. But let's see. Let's go ahead and start. Number one. The number one, well, I guess I'd have to go fruits and vegetables because this is a fruit, right? Tomatoes are fruit, aren't they? But one thing that I will always grow are tomatoes. I love homegrown tomatoes. They're just not the same out of the store. And if you have only ever had store bought tomatoes and never had one off of a vine, I mean, now there's probably more farmers markets around and there are more places where you can get them. But even still, taking one that is still warm from the sunshine and fresh off of the vine, there's nothing better. There is nothing better for me in the whole world. It's one of the best flavors. So tomatoes are going to be something that I always grow. And let's see, next, the one thing that I will always grow are peppers. I will always grow peppers and chilies, both, and I'm lumping them together, even though they are a little bit different. But the peppers, chilies, they're in the capsaicin. I think that's how you say it, capsaicin family. I don't know a lot about this stuff, so don't take my word for it on the whatever the capsaicin. I think that's what peppers are. Peppers and chilies, I think, fall into that, and so I'm putting them together because I like to grow them both. I like to have peppers, and recently, I guess it would have been 2 years ago, I grew my own paprika peppers, and I did again last year. I don't know that I have any started this year because I only started cosmic peppers this year. Plus, I've got my two bell peppers that I overwintered and have been harvesting from all winter, which is fabulous. Um, but anyway, anyway, I will always grow peppers and probably some type of chilies. I've got a variety of hot chilies that I'm growing. I assume. I know that Chris and Gina over there at Cosmic Cultivators, they grow a ton of different kinds of peppers, and they put all their seeds together in one lump sum, and they sent them out to a bunch of people to grow cosmic peppers. And so those were the only peppers I started this year. And so those are the peppers that I'm going to be growing this year. They're doing fabulous. They're in one of my unusual containers, and I need to put my unusual containers together in a video for Gail for her collab. Peppers, number 2, peppers and chilies, always something on my list. So the third thing that I will grow is going to be onions. Now, I've not yet had a lot of luck growing onions, but I'm hoping to get better. This year, I'm following Bunky's advice. I crowd seeded and I put some into milk jugs that were closed up and put them outside, and a bunch of them have come up. And I've got a bunch inside that have come up, and I have a secret seed challenge, and those have come up, and I'm pretty sure they're onions. Of course, I don't know what kind. But yeah, I'm hoping to follow her tips this year and get some nice big onions. But I love going out and just cutting some fresh onion greens out of the garden for on top of a baked potato or something, or throw in a salad or whatever. So I'll always grow some type of onion. Playing with technology while I do this, so bear with me. Something else that I will always grow is garlic. And I grew my first garlic, gosh, it's probably only been, I think last year was the first year I grew garlic. But it was wonderful. But I have made my own garlic powder for years from organic garlic that I've bought at farmers markets and stuff. And the flavor of your own homemade garlic powder far surpasses anything that you can buy in a store. And when you make it yourself, I made my own garlic from my own homegrown garlic last year, which was quite exciting for me. And it was fabulous. So garlic is something that I will always grow. Something else that I last year was the first time growing. Well, it's not surprising that a lot of things are, it's the first time I grew it, because honestly, this is only my third year of gardening. So everything is still relatively new for me. But I grew celery last year, and apparently I'm growing it this year again too, because it came right back up. And I really like to have my own celery. I actually still have some celery leaves in the freezer that I need to take out and throw in some soup or some broth or something and make something with them. It's time to start clearing out the stuff in the freezer from last year to make room for the stuff from this year. But celery is something that I will always grow because it's something that I use year round. We like to snack on it. We throw it in salads. I use it in soups and casseroles and just all kinds of stuff that I use it in. So celery is definitely on my list. Now, this next item, I really was torn over growing it or not, because it does take quite a bit of room to get a good harvest, and I don't have a ton of room. As you know, my garden is relatively small. I did add up the square footage of it one time, but I would have to go back and take a look at what that was to actually know. But potatoes, because even if I only get a small harvest, even if I only get enough harvest for a few meals, oh my gosh, I love new homegrown potatoes. They are amazing. And so even if I can only grow one or two potfuls of potatoes, I will always grow potatoes in my garden. So yeah, that is something. And where are we now? Oh, we're moving on. We're on to number 6, which would be salad greens. So I've struggled with these in the past and not had a whole lot of luck, but I'm going to get more serious about growing our salad greens because we do like to eat salad, and I like to have it in place of a lot of vegetables. I prefer most of my vegetables raw as opposed to cooked. And so I'm much more likely to eat them in a salad than I am to eat them in some type of a cooked dish. I do put vegetables in all my soups and stews and stuff, but I'm not a big fan of very many cooked vegetables, so I don't eat a lot of cooked vegetables. So I think it's really important that I'm growing our own salad greens and stuff. So I will do that. And something else to go into, oops, that's the wrong one. Sorry, playing with technology again. Something else that I will always grow are carrots. Because again, they just taste so much better when they're fresh from your garden. They really do. If you've never had a garden, you can have a garden anytime you want. Now, one organization that I've really enjoyed is the Shed Wars community. They have gardeners from all over the world, and they have gotten together to share the world of gardening and the joy of gardening and information about gardening with the entire world, no matter where you live. There are people in that community who are live in little apartments and grow just under some lights at home. There are people who are up in Alaska. There are people who are in Africa. So anywhere where you live, you can have a garden. And I got to tell you, even if it's just a bunch of pots, Gear Gurdon, and I'll put a link down for him. Let me jot that down. Gear. He grows in nothing but barrels, at least from what I've seen. He grows in nothing but pots. And I'll send you a link to his and how he's got his set up. But it's amazing what you can grow even when you don't have a lot of room. And I tell you what, growing something is it just the flavor is so much better. It just tastes so much better. So anyway, enough of my preaching. Carrots, something I will always grow. Something else. Now I had to like. There's not a lot. I'm not a big vegetable fan. I'll admit it. I will totally admit it. There's a lot of vegetables that I don't like and I won't eat. So it was difficult for me to think of ones that I would want to always grow and always have on hand. But one thing that I have really gotten into lately are edible flowers. And one that I'm going to be growing for the first time this year in my own garden is borage. Look how pretty that is. And apparently you can use the flowers and the leaves in salads. And it tastes a little bit like cucumber. So I can't wait to try that. I also have like nasturtiums and what else do I put out there? uh, Chamomile, rosemary. I have lots of edible flowers, but I'm looking into getting more edible flowers and incorporating them into my garden. I don't know. Can you eat marigolds? I put marigolds in everything, but and I'm gonna kind of okay. So that was number 9 was the edible flowers. So number 10 for me, I was kind of torn about this. Now, I automatically I think herbs, right? But are herbs really? They're not really a fruit or a vegetable. I guess edible flowers aren't either. So I kind of am bunching my edible flowers in with my herbs, and like I always grow. Uh, Gosh, it's nice because where I live, a lot of these are perennials. So let's see, what do I have? Perennial: rosemary, mint, thyme, sage, green onions, chives. Um, I know there's something else. Thyme, rosemary, lavender, which I'm just planting this year because my lavender plants were killed. But anyway, yeah, herbs and edible flowers are something that I will always grow. And I actually started gardening. Like I say that this is only my 3rd year of gardening, but I actually have been growing my own indoor herbs for years. Probably close to 15 years anyway that I've been. It's Dave. You guys want to say hi to Dave? Hmm. Hmm. You didn't even want to grunt at us. Anyway, um, yeah. So I've been growing my own herbs for years, just in pots. Even when I first started, I had them in pots in my kitchen window, and a shelf in front of my kitchen, another window in my kitchen, which was the only place that got sun in my house. So yeah, I started with growing my own herbs, and I will always grow them. And then I was really torn about number 10 for me, because, like I said, there's not a lot of vegetables that I want to try, or that I haven't tried, or that I would consistently want to grow in my garden. It's not things that, like beans and peas. If I had to grow them, I would. But honestly, with the amount of space that they take up, for what you get for a harvest, it's just not really feasible for me to devote that much space in my garden to beans or peas, when I could be growing things that I really want to grow, like tomatoes and peppers and onions and stuff. And that's been kind of a learning curve for me, because at first I thought I could grow everything, right? I can just throw everything in the ground and it'll all grow and it'll all come up. But boy, have I learned that was wrong. But anyway, so for number 10, I'm going to say the last thing that I will always grow in my garden is something new. I will always be growing something new, whether it's an entirely new species of plant, whether it's a new edible flower, or just even a new variety of something. For example, this year in my garden, if you haven't seen it already, you can check out that asparagus video, that I did just recently. I did how to plant my asparagus. That's something new in my garden this year. Loofah. Oh, that's funny how it disappears. Loofah is something I'm going to grow in my garden. I make my own soap. I make our own soap. So I can't wait to make my own loofah sponges with homemade soap in them. I can't wait for that. What else do I have here that's new? Borage. I mentioned borage, and this is new to me this year. And then I have a new variety of nasturtiums, and then of course peppers. Oh, and I actually got some asparagus seeds because I didn't know if I'd be able to find crowns, and I knew that I wanted to plant asparagus this year and get that established. Oh, something else in my garden that's new is tea. I'm going to grow tea. I'm going to grow my very own tea. And it's interesting to see the different processing that goes on with tea, but that'll be for another time. I think that this is probably long enough for today. You've probably had plenty of me for one afternoon. And I'm going to wrap this up, and I'm going to take another look at it so I can see if I actually have to edit anything out or not, or whether I can just let it go as it is. I'm hoping to just let it go pretty much closely as it is. And so I will say thank you so much for coming and hanging out with me today. I really do appreciate all your time. I will hope to see you soon. Take great care of yourself. Bye now.